Now, you might be saying, my shoes are perfectly fine. And no, they aren't. And actually, I'm going to put an extreme emphasis on the they aren't part. And this especially applies if you're playing sports. Now, that might surprise you, and you might go, well, what? My shoes aren't good? Especially my basketball shoes? No, actually, in fact, they are terrible for you. They are even worse for your feet. And I'll be giving you a couple examples and showing you why. And on top of that, I'll be showing you how to fix all this. And maybe you might have some sort of feet problems. You might need orthotics for your shoes, like I used to. And you can just completely get rid of those with this. And it surprised me as well. And that's because I've been wearing these shoes for about a year, maybe probably 2 years actually already. And it's been revolutionary, really. But there are some caveats and there are some things that we have to know first. Now, if you are an extreme athlete, some shoes are very, very bad for your feet, especially as time goes on. And just to name a couple examples, one of them might be Shaquille O'Neal, one of them might be LeBron James or Usain Bolt. If you just look at their feet, these three people's feet, as you can see, it is not pretty, to put it mildly. But if we were to look at some people who actually do have good feet and they're extreme athletes, some examples might be Ronaldinho, Samuel Eto'o, and Pele. All these people, they have amazing feet. And they didn't even grow up with shoes in the first place. So something's going on there. Clearly, shoes and feet health, what's the deal? Now, the change that came with shoes in the first place is the fact that they were originally actually designed mostly for fashion and for nobles. Now, they also were designed to protect the feet because that was part of the thing, protect the feet from sharp objects. But they were originally designed for nobles, and nobles had specific fashion desires, or they wanted to show off their wealth, that sort of thing. And this happens in many, many societies. This is not just Western society with shoes, or any society who wears shoes for that matter now, because it's spread to every society. There were also plenty of other things that nobles did, which one example would be, I think it was Mayans or Aztecs, who would literally put a jade stone in front of the baby's eyes, and they would make the baby cross-eyed, and it grows up cross-eyed because being cross-eyed shows signs of nobility. Yes, that was a thing back then. Absolutely crazy. But that's just one of the things. Now, we obviously don't carry this cross-eyed tradition today, but we do carry the shoes tradition, and it does do some damage, and it does do some damage because of fashion. It is not actually designed specifically to fit functionality. Now, fashion every now and then, I'm not to say it's good or bad, but when it comes to functionality, you don't want bunions, and you probably don't want to have to wear orthotics and spend thousands of dollars on orthotics either. So, yeah, it's probably best to go barefoot. So if we clearly look at how shoes are designed, they're obviously designed for fashion more so, and a lot less so for function. But what's even worse is even big shoe companies selling shoes know this in the first place, and they actually acknowledge it. Well, they don't directly acknowledge it, but they do acknowledge it. And there is one thing they say, it's the fact that we cannot make any money out of this. And yes, that might sound absolutely crazy, and you're going to say, where is your source? Well, there is somebody who's been doing this whole barefoot thing far longer than I have, and you'll be seeing his clip right now.
Nike and a couple of other companies actually had done some studies looking at barefoot running and concluded that it was good, but that they couldn't make a shoe that was a barefoot style shoe. So it's common knowledge in the industry that, here, I'll say it this way. We had a friend of ours who went to Harvard Business School, talked to friends of his who went to Harvard Business School, who are now working at some of the major footwear brands in the world, and said, what do you think about this natural movement idea? And every one of them had the same response. It's completely legit, but we can't do it because it would be admitting we've been lying for 50 years.
Now, he also talks about how barefoot shoes specifically isn't actually going to solve your issue in the first place. It will help, but it will not solve your issue, and that's because it all comes down to the underlying form of basically how you're walking in the first place. Yes. So that actually probably means you've been walking incorrectly your entire life. Yeah, I know. That one sounds a little crazy, but there's definitely very good reasoning behind that. Now, if you're like me, which you most likely are, you did not grow up going barefoot your entire life. And in fact, you were actually wearing shoes most of the time. And this would definitely change the form of how you walk. But to put it really simply, you wanted to be developing your feet muscles. And if you're not developing your feet muscles correctly, then there are definitely going to be some problems. And just the quickest example of how incorrect walking is done, you do not want to be planting your heel down into the ground every single time you walk. And if you look out today, you'll see that heel planting when walking, or running for that matter, is very, very common, and people have grown very, very accustomed to it. And in the long term, this will cause lots of damage because you're putting a lot of the tension and the pressure on the heel instead of the knee, which is what you're supposed to do, because it's supposed to be more located towards the knee rather than on the heel directly itself. So you say you have to walk correctly, but that just basically implies I've been walking incorrectly my entire life. Yes, once again, another crazy thing that sadly happens because of a lot of reasons, but one of them is economic. Now, the reason you're walking incorrectly usually would have to do with the fact, so for instance, one, there's so much cushioning on shoes that when you are walking, you don't actually get much of a feedback response for, hey, I can't be planting my heel into the ground. But when you're walking with shoes, you know planting your heel into the ground isn't actually so painful. Why is that? Because there's so much cushioning. And that does mess up the feedback response of, hey, where am I putting the tension in my feet or in my legs when I am walking? And obviously the crunching of the feet that I mentioned earlier, definitely a no bueno as well. And remember that your feet are a muscle. So you do want to usually work out your muscles. And if you ever want an easy workout, all you need to do is just walk a little more correctly. And already you're getting a decent workout for your feet. I know it sounds so ridiculous, but seriously, when you try these barefoot shoes for a bit, and you go long enough with them, your feet will become sore, and that's because you're working them out. Or if you're carnivore, you might not even get sore feet. But if you're not carnivore, then you will get sore feet. So to keep it really simple, going barefoot and using barefoot shoes are only bad if you have wrong form. But otherwise, if you have the correct form, not only is walking barefoot better for your shoes, you can save tons and tons of money down the line. And I mean, probably thousands of dollars, maybe even more. And the reason you'll be saving all that money is because, one, you won't have bunions, like somebody in my family actually. And on top of that, that prevents you from getting or needing surgery, as well as orthotics. You will save so much money on orthotics and you will not need them at all. Absolutely amazing. And lastly, yes, you get stronger feet muscles, a little bit of a workout every now and then. So thank you everybody for watching. I hope you learned something. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. And if you have any statements as well, just leave them in the comments below. Give the video a like because it helps video and it helps spread the message. If you're interested in more videos like this, then please let me know. So, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.